Blacked out. I feel like a half power jerk. My foot bang. It's not good though.
Back your snatches.
Push harder. There you go. Elbow tight. Go. There it is. That's right.
Hey everyone, I hope everyone is doing well. Currently getting out of the gym. The first thing I'll talk about school, and I'm going to try to make both my clips really brief today. I know I get very verbose when I'm talking and will ramble on for a whole bunch of minutes, but I'll try to keep each clip between 2 and 3 minutes. Probably will fail, but we'll at least try. So today on this Thursday, there wasn't any one little thing that was stressful. It was mostly a combination of all these different things that kind of played a factor. So students were being students, so that's just how they are. So it's not as if they were perfect today. So that was just general stress that's always there. So there's always that like baseline that like you're just dealing with normal kid stuff. Thankfully, like I said, nothing extreme, but just normal kid stuff. We also found out about our reading group. So obviously now I pull kids to do reading stuff, but the whole grade level is going to do grouping for a reading block, which in one sense is convenient for us, and in another sense it just will change my schedule a little bit. So it makes some things more complicated. And that complication I was hearing about during these different groups. I was getting phone calls and stuff, and that was extra stress, so that added to it. And then I had, and this part I don't really want to dive into too much, but I had stress with another person at the school, and I'll leave it at that. But it was related to the reading stuff, and it was stressful not because of the reading stuff, but from the person that I was interacting with. And I'm trying to be very careful how I say that, not to reveal too much. But when working with other people in a school, it can, I suppose it's probably true with any job. There's definitely personalities that can become stressful when people are trying to push off work onto other people, or just not working well, not doing as well as they could at what they should be doing, and I'll leave it there at that. So that added to those other two factors and just led to a lot of stress. So I was just like, at the end of the day when I'm teaching reading, I'm out of my patience. I also had, I'm doing a group that I'm one of the instructors or leaders in, that's helping males in the school, kind of just kids that are kind of on the bubble that sometimes have issues but have the capability of doing stuff, just kind of like focus them in. So it's like kind of like a male support group. And there's also a women's one as well, that's new this year. But I had that after my lunch duty, which is during my personal lunch. So I didn't eat lunch at school today, which normally I would just eat during the next group I have, but I just like forgot until the rest of the day. So that definitely added to the stress as well, I'm sure, because I was very hungry by the end of the day. I didn't really notice I was hungry though until I finished up school. So that part was stressful. So it was really, like I said, none of those things individually, if I'm dealing with it on a particular day is really that bad, but it's with a combination of all those different things put together that makes it stressful. So I'm glad today's over. I'm glad that tomorrow is Friday. I'm glad I got some paperwork stuff done today, and I'm gonna really try to get to school super early tomorrow to just hammer away at some stuff that's gonna make next week easier. Next week is conferences on Thursday, and then we have a professional day on Friday, so the students are only going to be there for 3 days, which is really nice for them and really nice for the teachers, so it's generally a short week. And also, progress reports originally for us, the special ed teachers, were due on the 18th, which is Tuesday, I think. But now they put you back to conferences because that's what the gen ed teachers are doing, so that makes it really convenient for us because we had a couple more days to work on those. That's always super helpful because I have an IEP meeting on Monday, so like to focus on that paperwork, and then I can focus on progress report. So that part's been really good, but some days are like this where it's just like you just want to sit in a room for a second and just yell at a wall because it's just like everything just gets put on you at once and it gets stressful. But thankfully I got through the day. I know it will get better, and I remember having this feeling before because things get overwhelming, but they always release a little bit as long as you stay on top of things and don't let everything build. And sometimes life just builds on you, and you have to be well prepared in those situations to help mitigate against those times and not give yourself extra stress that you don't need, because life will, like today, give you plenty of stress, give me plenty of stress that I deal with anyway. There's no good reason or no excuse for adding upon that with being generally unorganized or lazy or whatever that would add to that. So I'll wrap up that with school. 4 minutes and 42 seconds, not too shabby. A little bit more than what I was planning, but not too bad. So I'll end this clip here, and then I'm gonna talk about my workout in the next clip. All right, so my first attempt at recording this clip, I got a phone call in the middle of it, so that kind of messed up what I was talking about. But this clip's just gonna be about my workout, so I'll restart what I was talking about, and actually probably be a bit better because I know at the beginning I was a bit rambly, so that's always good to cut that stuff out. So the first exercise that I had today were high hang power snatches, and I interpret the high hang to be above the knee, not to any particular point, but just above the knee, and I interpret to be low hang is below the knee, and that's generally what I see as the definition. And you could be super high where you barely go down at all when you are at the hips, or you can kind of be where I was in like the mid thigh or lower, and I forget exactly what they call for it, but I was doing the hang snatches, and I went up to 190 at the most, and before that I had 155 for 4, 165 for 4, 175 for 2 sets of 3, and 190 for a set of 3, and I didn't miss any snatches, and I was able to catch every single one but the very last 190 as a power. As a technical power, and powers are usually defined as catching it above parallel, so basically like a high squat. But on my very last one, and I was extremely happy with it, with the 190, I caught it and I got pushed down to maybe depth, I don't know, it was at the front, and I'll let you all kind of decide that. But I consider it for me to be a power because normally if I'm not really high above parallel, I get driven down all the way down to the bottom position of the snatch or the clean or whatever. But with this one, I was able to stop it at parallel, which is huge for me because that's just so difficult for me to do with either my shoulders or my legs or a combination of both. But I was able to do that, and it just means I was in a good spot to where if I had to squat it all the way down, I could, but I didn't have to. So really motivating to be progressing in that sort of way, and it just felt really good. I had my hands more narrow like I had yesterday and the day before, and that felt really good. So I'm gonna stick with that, and it definitely, I think, is helping my overhead position feel a little bit stronger. So I'll be curious to see how that works when I go to maximal and heavier weights. But so far, like 190 is pretty heavy for me, and that went really well today. I don't know what my best triple is. It's pretty close to that for a full snatch, and I have no idea what my best set of 3 high hang snatches is, and that certainly is either there or pretty close to there for that. I really don't know, like, that specific uplift, like the high hang power snatch. Definitely don't think I've ever done a triple with that heavy of a weight, but very good with the snatches. And then I went on the clean and jerks, which was also a very heavy workout to do. With those, I had to do a set of 4 at 205, a set of 4 with 215, a set of 3 with 235, and then a set of 3 with 250. And they're full clean and jerks, so I rode the clean all the way down and did all the jerks. And I only had I was successful in all the reps. With my first rep at 235, when I did the jerk, I like forgot to do a split jerk and did like this half power, half split jerk. It was closer to a power than it was to a split jerk, but it just was like really randomly ugly. So if you see that rep in there, just know it was like just a huge mental lapse. I have no idea what happened with it. It was so random and weird. Very confusing because of that. I had no idea. Like, as soon as I did, I was like, what am I doing? I felt like, oh yeah, I have to do split jerks. And it was just a really weird moment. But I was able to do all the reps successfully. And it was tricky to do with the lighter sets, with the 235 and below. I did them with straps. And with straps, it isn't too bad to do, but it makes it difficult to catch the clean because you have to catch it with a full grip because of the way the straps are on. They just kind of force your hands there. So from a mobility standpoint, it can be good and bad. But it makes the jerks kind of tricky because you can't really move your hands out at all. And so it makes it a little bit more difficult. When I did my top set, I did them without straps just to help with that issue. But my hands were just feeling a little raw today. So that's why I wanted to have them on for the other sets if I was able to. And I just need to get my hands back into shape with those because I trimmed my calluses this past weekend, so they're just a little bit sensitive this week, especially doing all these reps. They're just naturally just going to be extra sensitive and just trying to do a lot of raw reps as well, so that's obviously not helping things. But thankfully it wasn't anything that limited what I was doing. It just was a little bit uncomfortable doing all my warm-up sets, especially when I'm doing like 4 reps or whatever with that. But let this person go, and then I will go, and hopefully they don't go and hit me in the face. There we go. Another successful 4-lane change, or 4-stop exchange. I'm always waiting for someone to come up and ram me in the side because they're idiots. But back to the workout. So after that, I had snatch pulls, and snatch pulls went well. They were with 205 for 2 sets of 3, and then with 215 for 2 sets of 3. Nothing too crazy with those. They all went well. And then with front squats, I went up to 305. So the working sets were 225, 265, 285, 305, and they all went really well. So I was very happy with how those felt. The top set was difficult, but as any set I do above 300 pounds with front squats has always been difficult. But my form felt pretty good, and didn't really get pitched over or anything, and just generally went well with that. I didn't do any accessory work, but when I get back and get in the shower and stuff, I'll probably, or after the shower, I should say, I'm going to try to do a little bit of ab work and a little bit of mobility work because I didn't do that at the gym because I got there a little bit later today. As you can tell, it's a little bit darker behind me because it's a little after 8, which actually isn't too much after when I get home a lot. Usually it's close to 7:30. But once I got back from school, I was talking with teachers for a while, so I wasted a lot of time after. I don't want to say wasted a lot of time because it's good for me to socialize, honestly. But I just taught for like 30 minutes after school just about kids and just all the things I mentioned in the previous clip about school, and obviously more specifics because I can always talk about that with other teachers in more direct ways than on these videos a lot of the time. So that was, at the end of the day, it'll be a very useful thing. But like I said, I'm gonna try to get to school super early tomorrow to get a lot of the paperwork aspects done and to really just get my day going on a positive note, because that's one of the things is that it's not so bad for me to get to school later, closer to the mandated time that we have to be there, but getting there early allows me to kind of get my head in the teaching space and to get a lot of that extra work done, which is always difficult to manage during a day, and frankly it's impossible to do between the 8:35 and the 4:05 time if you're teaching a whole day to get the paperwork aspect done unless you go in for extra time. And I wish that's probably my only complaint as far as pay and stuff goes, and I know it's been talking for 7 minutes, so I'll try to wrap this up here. And I'm talking about teaching, and I'm supposed to be talking about my workout, so I'm a little bit off, but I'll end this clip with this thought here. I think my only complaint with pay for teachers is not so much the amount we get paid, but that we don't get paid for the time that we have to go in for paperwork and stuff, because it's literally impossible to plan your day, to teach, to do everything that you have to do during a school day and still have time for all the paperwork that you have to do. And I would say most likely from a gen ed standpoint as well as from a special ed standpoint, for special ed there's tons of paperwork that you have to do and keep up with, and for gen ed there's more than enough as well. So the fact that we don't get paid for that time that we would literally have to do anyway, like we don't get a day off of work. We get like 3 records a day the whole year, where we have most of the day to do stuff, and half those days we have to do professional development. So very rarely do we get a day that's like, oh, you can do paperwork today. Like that's what you can do all day to catch up on that stuff. And a lot, even if we were good a day like that, it's not often very useful because paperwork is just an ongoing process. So that's probably my only complaint, is that I wish we got paid for that, because I certainly think teachers deserve that for all the paperwork stuff we got to do, because that's just extra time that we got to put in. But anywho, I'll stop my rambling here and end this video up. I hope everyone had a great day, and I'll talk to you all in the video tomorrow. And I apologize, my uploads are a little bit been delayed. Just had a couple of just busy days at work, but you know, that's gonna happen. So I'll try to get all caught up and get all my videos uploaded. But talk to you all in the next one. Peace.